Do most people just not understand bodybuilding?
You got some, and they're amazing goals.
Yeah.
Why don't you share that? What's your goal?
So recently, after doing some research, I found that Chris Bumstead won the Classic Physique Mr. Olympia around 24. And so because I just turned 19 and, I have all the support behind me, I was like, why not shoot for youngest, Classic Mr. Olympia?
Now, when you see that clip of Julian Fitzgerald, I'm sure most people would say, yeah, he can do it. Follow your dreams. Come on, like all this stuff, right? But when you actually think about it in a realistic perspective, it doesn't make much sense to me. Now, in a lot of my videos recently, people have said I've given off hater energy, so I don't want to give across that vibe. I just want to be realistic and give, I guess, concise points which prove my point. So I'm going to try my hardest to do that in this video. Now, the reason why most people's mentality is wrong when it comes to someone like Julian Fitzgerald is because it isn't realistic. Now, don't get me wrong, it's hard to not look at someone like Julian Fitzgerald and think that he's going to be the next Ronnie Coleman, the next Arnold Schwarzenegger, the next Phil Heath, someone of that level where he's just going to build such an amazing physique and amazing legacy in bodybuilding.
Tiny waist, tiny waist, tiny waist. I think it's magical.
Now, the thing is he is only 19, which means that he has the whole world ahead of him, his whole life ahead of him, really. So he could get to a sick level in bodybuilding and be a legend in the sport, not just potentially in bodybuilding, but in social media in general. However, his goal is not realistic. His goal is to be youngest Classic Physique Mr. Olympia. Okay, well, Cbum was Classic Physique Mr. Olympia at 23, which is funny enough the same age as Arnold was when he was Mr. Olympia. And then also Arnold retired at the same age roughly as Cbum did, so interesting correlation. Maybe Cbum's gonna do a return and come back in a couple of years. Look, it is what it is. What I'm trying to say is, look, Julian Fitzgerald is 19 years old. If he wanted to get into classic bodybuilding or bodybuilding in general and beat that record, he would have to do so very quickly. Like, you don't just go straight into competing and then go to the Mr. Olympia and win the Mr. Olympia first year within like a few years. It just doesn't happen.
Oh, he took this, oh, he took that. No. Y'all saw it from the jump, so yeah.
We didn't see it from the jump. He's going out of his way to say, I am natural and I am genetically gifted and I'm amazing. He's going out of his way. But show the baby pictures.
Show the legs, bro.
You were not born with biceps like that, bro.
Show the legs.
Oh, and if you were, you know you'd be showing it to people already.
Doing a plate and a quarter is because, again, that's natty.
What people usually do is they train for like a long time, then they start getting into bodybuilding, train at an amateur level, perhaps naturally, then they start getting enhanced, then they work their way up, get their pro card, then they start working their way up even more, and they potentially get to the Olympia, and then from there work their way up. Even, if they start the Olympia and they're in the like top 5 or whatever their first year or so, that's a good sign that they're going to do well. But again, this takes loads of time to get to. A million. Time that, honestly, Julian Fitzgerald does not have. He's 19 years old. If he started competing today and he jumped on stage, first of all, it just wouldn't work. And I will get onto that in a moment because it goes into genetics and overall bodybuilding performance, basically. But at the same time, his time is too little. For him to go from never competing before at 19 to getting a pro card to getting to the Mr. Olympia and then winning the Mr. Olympia is very, 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 very unlikely because of that time frame, but also, funny enough, because of his physique.
So the key is to just continuously build here to fill in that width, right? We want to keep building those delts, and as we build the delts, rear delts, all of those, you're going to be able to see way more three-dimensionality out of that to be able to keep building onto that shoulder width.
So Julian Fitzgerald has one of the most surprising physiques recently because of his age. Of course, people say that he's on steroids. I'm not going to go into that into this video, but other people say that he has amazing genetics, which of course he does. When you look at his physique, even if he was on steroids, he would have amazing genetics. If he was a natural, he would have like out of this world genetics, but you get my point. The thing is, though, is there's a few things here. One, genetically speaking, he's not classic at all. If you look at his waist to shoulder ratio, it's quite narrow because he has a wide waist. He also has a bubble gut, so that doesn't really play in his favor. But still, that takes away from his overall shape and classicness about him, if that makes sense. He looks more of akin to an open bodybuilder, if you want to put it like that. And so many people have thought he should go to the open class instead.
There's one killer question which is never asked to fake natties, and I don't know why, because it will literally end the debate. And that's, if someone like Julian Fitzgerald is natural, then why doesn't he just take gear and go and win the Olympia? He's literally guaranteed a win if he does that. So why doesn't he? I don't understand it. If bodybuilding is his goal and that is the pinnacle of the goal, then why doesn't he just take gear and win and destroy everyone that's ever competed?
Because look at him compared to the person he wants to beat, Chris Bumstead. Look at Chris Bumstead at 18 or 19 when he started competing. He had a complete physique with a small waist. He had that amazing shape. He had that X factor, that classic physiqueness about him that Julian Fitzgerald just doesn't have. And as I was saying then, he has a complete physique. Julian Fitzgerald doesn't have a complete physique. If you look at his full physique, there's a reason why he shows his upper body so often. And that's because his legs aren't filled out as much as they should be, at least, for him to be able to compete. He has impressive legs, don't get me wrong, but in comparison to his upper body, it's very underdeveloped, which makes him basically disproportionate in regard to his overall physique. If he was to go on stage now, he just wouldn't do well just based off proportions, unless he did something like men's physique where he didn't really show his legs. But even still, you need a small waist for men's physique as well. Men's physique is basically just classic physique at this point with freaking shorts on. And so if you look at these two physiques side by side, Chris Bumstead at about 19 when he started, or 18 I think when he first started to compete perhaps, versus someone like Julian Fitzgerald at the same age, you could see a big difference. Both have great muscular development. There's no denying that. Both have amazing genetics, but one is clearly a better classic physique bodybuilder and the other one is clearly just a good mass monster, a guy who's good at building muscle perhaps, or a guy who's just genetically gifted, because people have said this recently about his training style.
Finish it? Yes? All right, hell yeah.
Perfect.
Light.
Yeah, so that's what you're looking for. Nothing too heavy, but just heavy enough to give you that pump.
Nothing too heavy, just enough for a pump. In what world does struggling to do 3 reps mean the weight isn't heavy, and is 3 reps the rep range you want to target if you want to get a pump? That's genuinely something I'd expect someone that is actively trolling to say. But then again, it is a known benefit of steroids that you can practically just look at a weight and instantly get a pump. Larry's facial expressions just say it all in this clip.
People have talked about him basically not being able to train properly, his training style being not optimal or whatever, and him doing too much ego lifting, and even having the, I don't want to say ego, but the ego and basically, it's friggin' ego, basically. That's the only way I can put it, of him basically correcting someone like Larry Wheels, who's been training for a lot longer than someone like Julian Fitzgerald has. And the last time that I checked, Larry Wheels was an IFBB pro bodybuilder. Something that Julian Fitzgerald just isn't yet.
Good.
Oh, yeah.
All right, now, what some of y'all may be tempted to do, when y'all start to, get close to failure, like with the last one right here, you'll start to see your core. You'll be tempted to kind of go forward a little bit and push down. Don't do it. Try to get a little bit closer to the bar. Try to keep your head up a little bit. Keep that chin up so you can keep your body straight. Try to get a little bit closer to the bar. Kind of lean back a little bit. Yep, looking for a straight body right there.
So with those two things in mind, let's just be realistic for a moment. He wants to beat Chris Bumstead's record of youngest classic physique Mr. Olympia at 23 years old. He's 19 years old, he's never competed before. His physique, although amazing, isn't classic and it's disproportionate, so he would have to spend time filling out his physique to get a good proportion between his upper and lower body. All these things would, one, take time, again, take a lot of effort and time into getting into, competing and whatnot, because that's a lot different than just going to the gym and bulking and cutting. And the other thing he can't change, which is genetics. Not to say that he can't be a great bodybuilder. He already has insane genetics. And, if he was to go into, say, for instance, the open class, I think he would do really well over time. It would be different if he was natural as well. But, you get my point.
Naughty.
And the thing is, hold on. The thing is, I made a video on this, and I didn't even know if I was being that friggin' harsh on this guy. But the thing is like every single comment on that video was friggin' how I'm hated, that I'm jealous. Quit hating on this dude when you look like you've never hit the gym in your life. Damn. Got me there, bro. You are just a hater, nothing more, nothing less. The fitness community sucks. All negativity nowadays. And kids and teens that promote it. It's a hater born every day. Guys are so negative in life. Let the young kid dream. Look, that's the thing. Like, I didn't know if I was being that harsh on the kid or whatever. I was just saying the exact same points that I said in this video, in this exact video, that one, he wouldn't have the genetics for it, and he doesn't have a lot of time to do it. That's all I was saying. That's all I was saying about the kid. Maybe it was my mode of address. Maybe it was my tone of voice. But as you can see, like, it just doesn't make sense that he's going to be able to accomplish that goal.
I think it's magical.
But at the end of the day, I will wrap up this video by saying this. It's good to have ambitions in life. It's good to dream. It's good to set goals. It's good to strive towards something and be disciplined in it. I don't have any gripes about this kid. I'm not jealous in any way because he has a better physique than me. Nah, I'm joking. Some people are just more genetically gifted than other people. He's more genetically gifted than I am, and I can accept that. I think this kid should strive to do something in bodybuilding because he already has amazing genetics. We can see that. I think he would do amazingly in bodybuilding. My only thing is just being realistic. I think people should be realistic. People should say, look, you know, it's good to dream, it's good to push towards a goal, but realistically, Julian, are you going to be able to do that? It just doesn't make sense, all right? Look, this whole friggin' situation doesn't make sense. The likelihood of him becoming Mr. Olympia at that age in like 3 years. Come on, man.